A few weeks ago, I made a horrible shell challenge in The Sims 4 and I put it on the gallery and I asked you all to take that shell and turn it into something amazing. And so today I want to show you some of those amazing builds off the gallery. This is the shell challenge. So I made this weird box with all these random shapes. There's even some interior walls. There's this 3x1 room upstairs and this random diagonal wall downstairs. And the rules were very simple. You had to take this shell and turn it into a finished build, but you couldn't change any of these existing walls. You could do pretty much anything else. You could add platforms and foundations and roofs and windows. You could rotate it, put it on a bigger lot, a smaller lot. I mean, you could literally do anything. You just couldn't change any of these existing walls. So at the end of the day, all of the builds had the same shell to work with, but as you will soon see, people were very creative and took this in like a million different directions. Is the gallery not working right now? Because this is not a good time for this to be happening. Oh, there we go. Okay, well the hashtag that we used was SimsieFish because I thought my shell box looked a bit like a fish. I know, it's dumb. And I just want to point out before I get started showing you some builds that there were literally thousands of them. And there comes a point on the gallery where it stops loading. Like you literally can't scroll through them all. So I did my best to like filter through lot sizes and different lot types and stuff so I could try and see more of them. But at the end of the day, it is impossible for me to see them all. So if I didn't see yours, I'm really, really sorry. It doesn't mean yours wasn't good. There are also a lot of builds that I want to show you, but I literally can't because there's just not enough time. For example, if you filter by most popular, look at every single one of these. These are unbelievable. And you'll notice a lot of them are base game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like a solid half of the ones on this first page are base game only, which is super cool. I think a lot of people think that it's hard to build without a lot of packs. And obviously it definitely helps to have packs when you're going for like a certain style, but you can do some really impressive builds with just the base game, as evidenced by all of these very talented people. And actually, one of the first ones I want to show you is this one by Marlene H20. It's called the Woody Wood Base Game. And as you can see, this lot is incredible. There's a lot to take in here. They made like an ultra modern white building with a lot of wood accents. They also have this huge pond in the front with all the rocks. There's a carport over here. The landscaping looks amazing. Like I wish I knew how to invent things like this in my brain because I think this looks so beautiful. There's so much detail like surrounding the entire lot. There's a huge pool in the back and it looks so good like on the platform like that. They've got some terrain tools going on over here too. I don't know how they did this. If you look closely, you'll still see my shell. You'll see that diagonal wall they used, but they used a lot of platforms and balconies to make the place look a lot wider than it actually is. And it kind of camouflages the weird shapes of the shell. You'll see in a lot of these builds that a lot of the people use custom paintings as well. These are paintings just off the gallery that like Sims have painted, but of things. So they have like these custom paintings of numbers and then loads of photos and stuff. It looks so cool. But anyway, you walk in through this entryway. To the left, there's a living room and I love like the stacked coffee tables. They sized one down, which is kind of clever. They've got like the open shelving. This is a custom pot they made by stacking debug items to make like a custom branch pot. We have this bar area with more debug glasses. They put a fireplace on that weird diagonal wall they got stuck with, which is pretty smart. This is also custom shelving, by the way. Like the whole shelf unit was made by them with different pieces and the tool mod. This is actually a nameplate. I don't know if you can see that. That's from Get Together, but they like flipped it over with the tool mod and then made a custom shelf. And then they used this diagonal wall to like split up the room and make the dining room and the kitchen too. Over here, we have a little hallway and then a little bathroom. Upstairs, the floor plan looks great, I think. We have a kid's bedroom. I love the color scheme as well. This little hallway leads you out to a huge balcony, one of many. Another kid's bedroom. And they kind of made like a custom bed using cabinets, which is super cool. Now, this bedroom is really interesting because this is that 3x1 space they got stuck with. They made it into a closet, which makes a lot of sense. But they also have like an open bathtub in the bedroom, which I feel like I see a lot in like mansion type videos and like HGTV kind of vibes. It looks like a hotel. So they have like a whole spa section of the bedroom. There's a little tiny like art studio room right here. This is that like main bathroom, which by the way is enormous. And also this is a custom built wall divider using shelves and these columns. So we have the sink over here and then we have like the tub and toilet over on this side and another custom built shelf. They made this whole thing themselves. I mean, this place is just amazing. I'm like at a loss for words at how nice this looks. I'm obsessed. The next one I want to show you is also base game, but it's kind of a different vibe. This one's by brenleedee on the gallery. I agree. I too found it challenging. I think we all did. So this one has a very white and gray color scheme and I liked it because it used this gray gray roof I've never used before, and they matched like all of the windows and trim to it. And I thought it was just super cool. They also used all these columns to make like kind of a privacy wall here. And it's just interesting. Also, same thing with the numbers, the custom numbers, and like all the custom planter boxes, lots of balconies with platforms to try and like cover up the weird shape of the shell, which is smart. I will say the shell is a very odd shape, so using balconies to kind of make it look like it's all one shape instead of like, you know, all these random shapes. It's a good idea. The back has a little tiny pool with all the rocks. Like, look at this fountain attached to the pool. This seems very realistic to me, but I've never actually done it before. I kind of like this idea. You know what? Just the whole backyard. I love how detailed and like realistic it is. I mean, it's fancy, don't get me wrong, but it feels very realistic. Okay, so when you actually walk inside, this wall right here is the one they got stuck keeping. So they used it to kind of separate the hallway and the living room. So you walk into a big hallway. To the right, there is a huge office with this like really cool black and white vibe. And then to the left is that living room with a fireplace. They made like a custom cabinet for the TV. And then that leads straight into the dining room with another fireplace. A custom clock painting. There's loads of custom paintings in here. And the kitchen at the back looks awesome. I never use these cabinets. I have a hard time making them look right, but now we have more swatches. So this looks really good. There's also a bathroom downstairs. And then they snuck the staircase back here and it leads up to a big hallway again. And also the balcony door. And we've got 3 more bedrooms. They also made that 3x1 room they got stuck with into a closet, but they like hung up curtains in front of it, which is so cute. I always really enjoy seeing how other people split up their floor plans, because this kind of thing is really hard to do, especially in shell challenges, because, you know, if the floor plan's not working and you built the house for like, you know, a regular house build, you could just adjust it, you know, make it like a tile bigger to fit the hallway better or whatever. But with a shell challenge, you can't change the walls. So you're kind of stuck trying to fit things into an existing space. So it's really tough, and I love seeing how other people do it. This one makes perfect sense. I like how the balconies are all accessible by everyone and they're not like only in bedrooms too. Because a lot of times when I make balconies, they're like off a bedroom and it ends up being like the toddler's bedroom and it doesn't make any sense. So I loved this one. I want to show you a few community lots now because these are like a completely different vibe. So this first one is called Mahalu Mercantile. It's by Mrs. Tomato 1018 on the gallery. And it's a little retail store in Sulani, which again is like the complete opposite of what we just looked at. So it's on the water, it's on stilts. There's all these detailed debug items outside. The like lights leading up to the front is so cute, but the interior is unbelievable. Okay, even down to like in this store, it's a completely functional store. So we've got all these mannequins featuring like some clothing you can buy. You can get all this sunscreen if you wanted to, even down to like the fridge having like pineapple in it for sale. There's little bathrooms back here. The other half of the store has even more stuff, some more clothing. It has like these lights. It has these windows down into the water. I just can't get over how much detail is in here. Like even being able to buy like beach toys and bubbles and like shells. That's mermaid kelp that you can buy. There's like a little break room for the workers, which just feels so realistic. And then this ladder leads you upstairs into the family's apartment because it's like a family run business. So you come up into their apartment and they have this beautiful kitchen with this amazing view, a big dining room, a huge living room, this adorable kids room, parents' bedroom, an ensuite bathroom. Like there's just so much detail in here. I love this. It looks to me like something that's actually being played in, which I really enjoyed. And it's also just useful like to bring your Sims here and buy a swimsuit and some sunscreen. It's kind of fun. So I just loved this. Not this again. Hang on. Okay, this next one is the Hipster vegan restaurant by Little Miss 4. I want to show you at night first because the lights are so pretty, but the exterior of this building just looks so realistic to me. Even down to like the fountains in the back, but also like the fences up here and like the drains. There's so much detail. Okay, so when you first walk into the restaurant, there's loads of tables, obviously. You check in right here. There's a bar on one side. There's lights and plants and stuff like everywhere. Upstairs, there's like a small sitting area, but they made this little 3x1 space that they got stuck with into the entrance into the kitchen. And it's a huge kitchen with so much detail. The other side of the building has all the bathrooms upstairs. My cat is crying because she wants into my room, but she's gonna try and kill the plant, so I can't let her in. Anyway, I think the outside though is my favorite part. Like everything about this, the fire escape, the balconies, all the outdoor tables, the benches, this area with like the pergola and all of the bench seating, this is like a dream spot to sit, isn't it? Oh, I want to visit this place in real life. They even set a custom menu, which is so fun. I just love the detail in this kind of thing. And it's also kind of fun to see what people put and like what they imagine the restaurant being like. Obviously it's a vegan restaurant, so they've got like all vegan food on the menu. I will say that is the key to my heart. Okay, this next one is the last community lot. It's the Blue Wave Karaoke Bar by lilBizzyyy on the gallery. Okay, the cat's whining too much, so she's gonna join us for this one. Snap, you can't just block the camera. I think we'll do this one at nighttime too, because the lighting looks so good. This is one of those where the shell is like unrecognizable from the other ones. Like you would never look at this and think it's the same shell as that first house, but it is, it's the same building. So they went for like a kind of blue vibe. Obviously it's a karaoke bar too, so it's kind of modern on the outside. And on the inside, they've got blue lighting like everywhere. So you walk in through a small entryway, and then they made that weird diagonal wall into like the main stage of the karaoke bar. So it's in the center of the building, which I thought was just so cool. So they got stuck with this weird wall and they ran with it, and they made a little stage here, and then you can sit around on all the sides and listen to the karaoke being sung. There's 2 bars on either side of the building. We've got bathrooms down here with like the blue tile and everything. I just thought this was the coolest vibe. And then upstairs we have like some more smaller karaoke rooms. The stairs actually go outside, believe it or not. So you come up over here and the doors take you in right here, and then you can walk through to all the other karaoke rooms, and they all have like a karaoke machine and some seating and stuff. I just think this whole thing is such a cool concept, even down to like the wood texture in front of the windows. And I really just cannot get over the idea of having this stage in the center. I thought that was so smart. I want to use this a lot. Like I want to have my Sims come here. It is a serious improvement from the original one, I'll tell you that. The base game, the in-game karaoke bar is nothing compared to this one. Okay, this next one I want to show you is called the House Simsie Shell by Amazing Emma on the gallery. As you can see, beautiful landscaping in the front. They put a lot of effort into the landscaping on the outside of this build. Look at this, like with this fake bridge used to hang up lanterns and all of the like pink ball landscaping. At nighttime, the way these trees light up is amazing. So anyway, I downloaded this lot. I was testing it, I was looking around, I was like, wow, it's so beautiful. I came in, I was like, oh my gosh, it's all like pink and fun and colorful inside. And then I was like, the back's kind of spooky. I turn around and there's children's heads on plates in the back of the building. So I did not read the lot description. I did not realize this lot was meant to be inspired by Hansel and Gretel until I saw that in the back. And it really shocked me. So I thought I might share it with you all so you could see. I thought it was so creative. Like what a fun story to tell with the build. And it really did shock me when I saw it. So okay, this next one is called the Fish Apartment Complex by Salam Biscuit on the gallery. And this one I thought had the most clever idea. Instead of making like just one build out of the shell, they sort of split it up into 4 different apartments, and all 4 of them have like completely different styles. Plus all the landscaping is amazing. Like look at all of this over here. I can't get over that. But you'll see they have like on the left this little blue suburban kind of apartment. We have this like eco lifestyle kind of 2-story apartment. There's like an industrial one downstairs over here, and this more like Japanese style using Snowy Escape upstairs. So there's 4 completely different ones. Starting on the left, you can see they have like a little cat mailbox. When you first walk in, they have a little tiny living room and a staircase. The back has like a little kitchen dining area, and they have a little back door into a patio in their backyard that's enclosed. They've got a tree with lanterns. Upstairs, there's a little teeny tiny bedroom, sort of loft space with a bathroom. The next apartment has a huge front porch. They don't have any backyard, so they have this whole front space instead. They've got like garden planters. They have a little wall mailbox. They have a grill. Inside, they've got a little living space. They've got a dining room. You can see like some kids live here because they have all these crafts out. I love the desk nook under the stairs, and they turned that weird diagonal wall I stuck them with into a little pantry and the kitchen space. And then upstairs, they've got 2 bedrooms. There's one in the back and one in the front. They made that little 3x1 space into 2 things. They put a laundry room and a closet here, which I thought was genius. They've got a bathroom. This second apartment is huge. And then the downstairs apartment on this side, they've got a huge front patio. They've got these lights strung across. Inside, they have like a little living space and kitchen. There's a little bedroom. We've got this hallway that takes you outside to the back patio with a grill. There's a little bathroom. And then upstairs, there's a 4th apartment that has a huge balcony and just so much detail. We've got a little entry space, the shoes at the door, we've got the kitchen, kotatsu table. They even use platforms in here to have like a sunken entryway, the kitchen, we have a huge bedroom. I love this door. We have a bathroom right here. Like this whole place looks so intentional. I feel like you would never know that they got stuck with these weird shells. The layouts of the apartments are like perfect, and they're so small and cozy. I loved this idea. idea. I also want to show you this place called the Modern Artisan by Jen_Hyslop on the gallery. You will not believe what they managed to do with roofs. Now, this one is meant to be placed in Eco Lifestyles World Evergreen Harbor, but you will soon see, Evergreen Harbor is a tiny bit bugged from Manage Worlds. There's a void. But the lot itself is really amazing. So let me show you. So when you first walk up to the lot, picture there's like a floor out here, okay? It's not Jen's fault. This is the Sims 4's fault. But you walk up and they have the front door like hidden behind this like fake wall they made with windows being combined. They used that a lot, like to kind of fill up and make the weird spaces I made look less weird. There's a little patio in the back, same thing with the back door and these big sliding glass doors. This place looks so cool. But they also used roof pieces to make like a fake third floor and these huge skylights. So like from up here, you look straight down from that giant skylight into the kitchen from the second floor. It looks awesome. But inside there is so much detail. Okay, so look at this. You walk into like a living room sitting sort of area. There's even like a fountain. There's loads of clutter, so it looks really lived in, like with these books on the counter and like the cups on the table. Agnes Crumplebottom's purse is here. To the left, we have this little bathroom and an office space. And then to the right, we have like the TV room sort of area. They used like these plants to make plant walls. This diagonal wall right here is that one they had to keep, and they used it to make like the special space around the stairs. And believe it or not, this is a custom stair railing made like using custom pieces, which just looks unbelievable. How did they even think about these things? There's like a little dining breakfast nook kind of space, and then a huge kitchen. And keep in mind, this place is like open to the second floor. And we also have a bedroom and an ensuite bathroom downstairs. And I loved how this looked with like the full glass shower. Then upstairs, there's like a huge landing with like an art space. They turned that 3x1 nook into also a laundry room, and they put all this detail like with the clothes on top of the laundry machines and a closet. So they made like 2 separate rooms out of that. They've got a kid's bedroom up here, another bedroom up here, a closet, a little reading nook. Like there's so much detail and clutter. It must have taken so long to build this. Now I want to show you this lot called Meditation by TheSmolCactus. As you can probably already see, I think this one took a very long time. Okay, hang on. We have to get rid of a family so I can place the lot down. Okay, so where do we even begin with this? Because as you can see, it is enormous and amazing. So they made this whole river space and they filled it with lanterns and plants. There's a fake bridge. I mean, there's just an unbelievable amount of detail in like the layers of landscaping they've done, and it goes all the way around the whole lot. There's like secrets everywhere, you know? Like the little gazebo with the hot tub, the planters down here, the balconies in the back. Like I cannot imagine how long it took to like split this up and also make it look good. Also, these like stepping stairs with lanterns to get up to the top of the hill where the house is actually set. There's an onsen in there. I mean, they used the entire 50x50 lot, and it's all full of amazing detail. And then when you actually come inside, the front door is right here. They have a sunken entrance with like some shoes under the table. There's a little bathroom right off the front. And then you go straight into the living room and like a dining space kind of. This is that diagonal wall they got stuck keeping, and they just extended it. They just embraced the diagonal wall and used it for the whole space. We also have the kitchen over here and laundry. So there's like a whole kitchen laundry like storage section over here. And off the kitchen, another balcony with a fireplace and a table. In the back of the house, we have this like art nook, like desk space with so much detail. I love this desk. I think that looks awesome. And then we also have like the bigger living room space with like a bigger couch and stuff. Upstairs, they fit in 4 bedrooms. This one here has a closet and an ensuite. There's like a hall bathroom. They made this custom, by the way, by sizing down windows to make like a custom glass wall for the shower everywhere. There's a little kid's room with a little stuffed animal on the bed and a closet and their own balcony. Another kid's bedroom. This one also has a closet. They made that 3x1 space into closets, and then they also gave everyone a closet. I love the color scheme of this bedroom. I didn't realize this rug matched that bed so well, but it looks so cute. I know I keep saying it, but there is so much detail in this house. I cannot get over the landscaping. I am not good at terrain tools, so this kind of thing is so impressive to me. This next one I want to show you is the Eco Lover Sanctuary by JourneyGould on the gallery. Just look at this gallery image. How? It is also on a 64x64 lot. So as you can see, this must have taken so much time. Now keep in mind, all of these little individual thingies in live mode, those are like spawners. So there'll be ducks and fish and swans and all of this like in the water down there. And they made that river go everywhere. There's like a waterfall. There's layers to it. It fills up the entire 64 by 64 lot. They even have like a scary secret basement with a dead cow plant in it. There also isn't much yard space, believe it or not, because like the whole lot is water and rocks. So this is like mostly the yard, and you get to it by like walking through this bridge. Anyway, let me show you the actual house though for a second, because it is beautiful. There is a lot to take in. There's lots of patio space and like sitting areas. There's a hot tub with lights. There's like this whole under section underneath the house with like a secret sanctuary. I mean, this is unbelievable. I truly don't even know where to begin with showing you this. Okay, also look at this with the rounded window piece. How do you come up with this kind of thing? How? Look at how perfect that looks. Okay, so when you first walk into the actual house, this is the front door. You walk straight into like the kitchen and dining space, and there are leaves and plants and fairy lights everywhere. Just really good vibes all around in here. We have a little laundry space, there's a piano, and then you walk down some stairs. This is that horrible diagonal wall they got stuck with, and they snuck a little bathroom into that corner. And then there's a huge living room with an enormous TV and like all the stone columns. There's a little bedroom off this space as well. There's also an office and a little bathroom and the staircase. Lots of yellow in here too, which you know I love. And then upstairs, we've got like a little TV sitting nook area. Look at the detail in the plants and lights in just the hallway even. It's amazing. Okay, so they made that 3x1 space also into a closet, but they made it like a custom broom closet kind of vibe and like a clothes closet out of it. This is that like primary suite, I assume at least. I mean, it's kind of nice. And then it opens straight into the bathroom like a resort or something. And they've got a vanity and the big tub and the shower and everything. Also a private balcony with this view. A small bedroom over here for some kids. A little pink, maybe teens bedroom. I mean, there's just so much going on in this lot. It's amazing. I know I keep saying this, but like, can you imagine how much time and creativity it would have taken to come up with this? There's like too much on the lot to even show you it all. It's amazing. Okay, and the very last one I want to show you today, again, in no order, this is just for fun. I'm kind of trying to make like each build I show you like as opposite as it can be from the last one. So this one is called the Shell Turned Victorian by Goblindolly. Again, you would never know it's the same shell as the last build. I think part of what I loved the most about this one is how impressive they made the roof look, especially given the fact that like this shell was horrible. I genuinely don't understand how they managed to do this. It looks amazing. And like all the detail in the landscaping surrounding the lot, in the windows and the molding, like they've got so much going on here. The back has like a chicken coop and a little garden space. There's some fountains. I honestly didn't even know we had this tree in debug, but they used it everywhere and it looks great. Also, I don't know if you can see this, but these are all like custom pieces put together to make like really fancy molding in the tops of these roofs. I have never thought to do that. That looks so cool from the front. Anyway, so the inside of the house, when you first actually walk in, you go into like a little entryway and you'll notice there is a lot of clutter everywhere in this house. It's awesome. And you can kind of go two directions. So we're gonna go to the back. This is where the kitchen is. Same thing, so much detail. It's kind of cool because it's sort of an odd shaped kitchen and I like that about it. Like it's kind of an odd house. It's obviously older. Like I love the look of this. There's a little breakfast nook. We also have a big patio out here. And that also leads you to the right where there's a little hallway or a door into the living room, which is so detailed with the candles and the plants everywhere. This looks awesome. There's a second living room, this one with like a fireplace and everything. There's another living room or like an office. I don't know what you would call this, but there's like a desk and all of this clutter back here too. There's a tiny bathroom right here. And then upstairs, there's a little teeny hallway with a bathroom, a little kid's bedroom, another kid's bedroom, perhaps like the primary suite. They have a huge ensuite bathroom and like they made this little 3x1 space into a vanity, which looks so cool. I love the look of that with it peeking out from the door. There's also a laundry room and this was kind of cheating, but I'm gonna let it slide because there's not actually walls. It's a fake third floor. There's not really walls, it's the roof. As far as I'm concerned, that counts for the shell challenge. But there's like another bedroom upstairs hidden in the roof. How cool is that? I don't know. I'm just very impressed with the detail on this one, with all of them. You would never guess that this is is actually that. And also, so is this one. They're all the same. I just love shell challenges for that very reason. It's so cool how we all had like the same box to work with and we all took it in completely different directions. I built a farmhouse. Some people built a magical oasis that I could never pull off. I wish I could show you more, but this video is already pushing being like way too long. But keep in mind, there's like a million more incredible ones on the gallery. If you look through #SimsieFish, you can find some more. It's also not too late to do it. If you want to do it still, feel free to. And if you liked this video, I've done a bunch of shells on my channel, so I can show you some more tours if you want to see them. I will also have all of the builds I toured today and their usernames listed down below if you want to download them. And of course, I have more shells planned in the future. Don't worry. So with that being said, I guess I'll catch you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody. You know, for a person who builds in The Sims for a living, I really am feeling a little bit like I don't know how to build in The Sims right now. I could never have pulled any of these off. They are way too good.